Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I am using all black owned makeup and I'm super excited. I get to show you some of my favorite brands and some of the newer ones that I've gotten a chance to discover. Now first I'm starting off with some Fenty Beauty. Everyone loves Fenty and I know that it's also a Kendo brand, but that's okay. We're still going to show it some love because Rihanna is a major owner, so we want to make sure we recognize her for that as well. Now I'm using the brow pencil and I really enjoy it. It is a little bit on the softer side. It's not quite as heavy or waxy as some of the other brow pencils in the market. Now to go ahead and clean the brows, I'm using the Juvia's Place concealer and I have to tell you, I love this brand. They have an awesome range of shades and the really cool part about it is that the lightest shade is actually the last shade. Now let me explain. That means that they take, well, I don't want to say they take priority in the darker shades, but they're letting you know that those are not the last shades in the collection, and it shows, and it's awesome. And you can really have a good time trying to find a good shade to match. Now this shade is in the number 18, and it is perfect for cleaning up my brows for the days that I just want like a light layer of coverage, but it does have a good pigmentation, which is awesome. For eyeshadow, I'm using the Walhalla palette. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And it is a translation to drama. It's a Nigerian word. It is beautiful. And the palette itself is so pigmented and just, it's stunning to look at. I don't have any other way of describing it, but it's really pretty. I'm using one of the lighter purple shades and I was pleasantly surprised. I did have to build it quite a bit, but the color was nice. Sometimes when it comes to purple shades, they can be a little bit more ashy or they just don't show true to color and it can be really difficult to blend. And the more that you add, the better it looks. And you'll notice that towards the end of the look, it definitely shows. It's nice and vibrant, but not too vibrant. It's a beautiful combination. And you'll notice that I'm looking back and forth into the monitor because I just want to make sure that I was in focus. Now I'm dipping into the darker purple, and this was also a really great shade, and I think I was just admiring the palette, by the way. Like, it's so good. So I'm building up the color towards the end of the crease, and I'm really packing it on and using circular motions. And at this point I didn't really know what kind of look I was going for. I just know that I really wanted to use the purple shades, and I'll keep building and adding a little bit more. Now you can see that my left eye, which I guess is on the right side here, it definitely was a little bit more circular, so I was really building on that shape and making it a little bit more. And you can see here, it's just standing out so well, and the combination of that previous purple is so nice. Now here I'm stamping the color just to make it a little bit more pigmented, and I'm going to go back in with the fluffy brush to make sure that I can blend it out and that there aren't any harsh edges. This is really important, especially if you're a beginner. This is going to help you quite a bit. And I have to say here, I apologize that you had to look at my crusty lips throughout the tutorial, but I did go on and put a little bit of Laneige. Now again, here I'm just playing with makeup. I'm not like having the most precise application, I do admit, but we're having fun. And I just went in with a little bit of concealer. I think I was trying to do a cut crease, and you can see here like I wasn't completely sold, but it's okay. We're playing, we're having fun. This eye that I'm working on here, it seems to turn out a little bit better. Again, I think I could have gone a little bit darker with the purple and maybe it would have stood out a little bit more. Full disclosure, when it comes to cut crease, I am not an expert. I feel like I can do a cut crease really well on other people, but when it comes to myself, I don't know, for whatever reason, it just doesn't have the same effect. But here, I'm just going to go in and try to clean it up again. And I do tend to focus on the shape of my eye because I have somewhat hooded lids. They're not completely hooded, but they do tend to have transfer with the shimmery shade. So I try to be as precise as I can, but not too precise. Now the best part is that you can go in with the darker purple throughout so that you can build it and intensify it as well. And you can see here that I'm finally looking at it and I'm like, okay, there's some hope here, which made a huge difference. And I'm just going to go ahead and blend out those harsh edges once again. And I'm using this really pretty shimmery purple lilac color. And I tried going in with a brush first, but it really didn't have a lot of pigmentation, and I knew that if I used my finger, I would probably get a better outcome. And of course it was super creamy too, which I'm not surprised as to why it didn't get picked up by the brush. So by putting it on with my finger, it made a huge difference. It was really nice and opaque, but it was buildable. You can see here, it's really shimmery, really pretty. So again, I'm going to go ahead and use that darker purple just to intensify the outer edge. And I'm just going back in with sweeping motions back and forth until I get the desired outcome of the color and really build it. You can see that one eye seemed to be a little bit more pigmented than the other, but don't worry, we're going to blend it out. We're going to make sure that they look about the same. And here I'm going in with a slightly deeper purple. Now, I don't have the shade names right in front of me, but I can list them down below for you guys. This palette is definitely worth getting, but I did use it in the outer corner just so there would be a little bit more of a seamless blend. Now, I did have a little bit of fallout, but nothing major, and I wanted to just clear it up, so I used a makeup wipe to make sure that the edges were clean. For primer, I'm using the Fenty Beauty mattifying primer. You guys know I've been really enjoying this. It makes my skin look really soft, and the makeup lasts all day. So I'm just applying that, and I've already done some skin prep. Now I'm actually really excited to show you guys this foundation. This is the Womo Beauty foundation. It's called Say What, and it's in the shade T3W. It was actually my first time using it, and I didn't really know what to expect, but I heard a lot of really great reviews, and it made me really excited to try it. Now, as you can see, it's a perfect match, and it looked so smooth on the skin. It glided on, and the claims are that it is a hydrating but matte foundation, which is completely up my alley, and it blends like a dream. I did use a brush in this tutorial, but I'm gonna go ahead and also try it with a sponge next time so I can really see how it layers for more natural effect. Again, I'm using the Juvia's Place concealer, and this time I'm applying it in all the areas of the under eyes, the forehead, the chin, just anywhere that I would need a little bit of extra coverage. And I really enjoy this concealer, like I said. I have to be honest, I kind of went a little ham with it, and I'm going to see a ton of coverage. A little goes a long way, and I had completely forgotten about that. So just as an FYI, I think I may have put a little too much under the eyes, but we're going to try to fix it and blend it out. Now I'm just using one of the Tati beauty sponges, or I forget what it's called, to be honest. I'll link it down below. It's really good, and it's a very quick and easy tool to use. But I'm just going to go ahead and blend it out, and you can already see it's completely brightening up the skin. It really stands out, and I have no complaints. Now here's where it gets a little tricky. So on the under eye, or like right by the under eye area, you're going to see I'm really packing it on, but because of the little sponge that I'm using, it doesn't pick up any extra product, and it also doesn't kind of leave it there. So you can see I've already blended it all out, but it does look a little heavy. So just for future reference, try not to use too much like I did, and you won't have any issues. To set it, I'm using the Beauty Bakery loose powder in the shade Yellow. Now this is actually an older product of mine, and I had completely forgotten about it, and when I was going through all of my products, I was like, oh yeah, let's use that today instead of like the Fenty Beauty one, and I was so pleasantly surprised. It's not ashy at all. It's a very loose and finely milled powder, so it makes it really easy to use, but you can also get a little heavy-handed and you won't have any issues. So as you can see, I'm just making sure to set all the areas where I would normally crease, or where I just need a little bit of security, if you will. And I used just a little bit more of whatever was left on that little pad, sponge, whatever you want to call it. I used it on the rest of my face so that I could set it in place as well. For bronzer, you guessed it, I'm using the Fenty Beauty This is my ride or die. It's official. Like, I have not really used any other bronzer, and trust me, I have so many bronzers, so many favorites, but I tend to go back to the Fenty, and it's just because the shade is so nice. Now granted, it's very forgiving because you can see here I kind of have a little bit of a helmet head going on. I have quite a bit of bronzer, but it's still going strong, and I like to pack it on, and I'm using a Jaclyn Hill brush. It's nicely tapered so that this way it just gives me a little bit more control, but it also blends it out really well. And here I'm just trying to get rid of those, the double chin, the extra cheeks, all that good stuff. Now here, I did want to intensify it a little bit more, so I used a Juvia's Place palette. I don't know why that was a tongue twister. And I tried to be a little bit careful because I knew they were going to be pigmented, and I wasn't 100% sure how it would come out, but I wanted like a little bit of extra definition, so I did use that darker shade. Again, all the shades and products will be listed below to make it easier for you to find, but it was pretty good. Now here's where it gets a little wild. As you can see, these blushes are super pigmented, but they also blend really easily, so it kind of helped. But as you can see, I was a little shook, so I'm gonna go in with the powder puff and make sure that I can blend it out so that with any extra powder that it was on there, that it just blends it out in place. Now here I got really creative, or at least I like to think that I got creative, and I used one of the fly liners from Fenty. Again, let me go take a look and see what the shade is. I don't want to completely let you guys or leave you guys in the dark, but this one was so nice, and part of it was because it was just creamy. It's a blue shade. I figured it would be a nice contrast, and I feel like I'd seen a lot of inspo online, and that made me really want to kind of go a little bit out of my comfort zone. I tend to only really stick to blue, or not blue. I only tend to stick with black colors for the eyeliner, but I really wanted to try something different. Now the shade for this is called Lady Lagoon, and I initially started off with just a little bit of a wing liner effect, but you're gonna see I'm gonna change things up. I'm also applying the Fenty Beauty mascara, and I was pleasantly surprised. I had purchased this a while ago, but for whatever reason I kind of like stopped using it, and it actually lengthened my lashes pretty well. Now I am going to go in with some falsies, so you'll see that later on, but I've been using it for a couple days now, and I'm very pleasantly surprised. Now here, going back to the eyeliner, I'm using that same blue shade, and I'm actually going to do a little bit of a cut crease action. I'm just stamping it, and I wanted it to be a little bit more defined. I did go a little bit above the crease because, again, if I opened up my eyes, I still wanted it to be prominent, and if I kept it too low, I just knew it was going to smudge or it wasn't going to stand out. And you can see here I'm just going back and forth, but it blended really well, and it also had a really long staying power, which is very good when it comes to, eyeliners in general. And here I'm using my little trusty compact. You can see here I was feeling it. Now going back in with the original shade that we used, I'm going to go ahead and put that on the lower lash line, again connecting everything because right now it's a little bit too top heavy, but we're going to make sure that it just stands out. And I don't know what I was doing there. I think I was smelling it. That can be a little weird, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm also using that darker purple as well to keep on the outer corner, and then just, mixing both shades. I do like to go in with a compact mirror here as well because I tend to smudge a lot, and you can see here I started creasing a little bit, which could have just been that I used too much concealer, which I had mentioned earlier, but just to make sure that I don't have it too low, I do like to look up. This is also a really great trick or tip when you're applying mascara there as well, so that way it doesn't get all smudgy and just a hot mess. This is good to use. Now to tie the entire look together, I'm using that same blue eyeliner in the waterline. And I have to admit, most of the time when it comes to putting an eyeliner in my waterline, they never show up. They're never pigmented. They always tend to like smear a little bit, and this one did not give me any issues. Now here, I'm really excited to show you guys the lashes from my good friend Tati Michelle Makeup. Make sure to follow her. She has her own business and she is thriving. Now, she gave me a coupon code so that you guys can take advantage, and it's Fanni, Fanni, and you can get some money shaved off from your lashes. I know she sells lip glosses, eyeshadows, like she does it all, and she's killing it. Now these are in the style Haute or Haute, Haute, and I was so in love. The band on these lashes are not thick or heavy, which is so comfortable, and you can already see a huge difference, like night and day. Look at that. No lashes, and then boom, lashes, and I'm so excited. They look great. So I'm really proud of her. I know she's doing an awesome job. And when it comes to supporting Black-owned makeup, if you know anyone that has their own small business, make sure to support, because there's a lot of hard work that goes into it. And here I'm just gonna go ahead and lightly pack, the excess powder under my eyes just to make sure there's no creasing. And here I'm obviously feeling myself. With the lip color, I'm using a shade from Colored Rain. This is such a pretty color. I do have to say though, it didn't necessarily match with the look that I was going for, and I guess I wanted it to be a little bit more nude, but it still stood out. Like on any given day, I would probably wear the shade all the time. So I did want to just lightly blend it with a brush so that it wouldn't be too heavy. I find that if you add a light layer of a liquid lipstick, it tends to last longer. So pro tip for you if you're having a hard time with liquid lipsticks. And I love the Colored Rain formula. It is gorgeous, pigmented, creamy, anything and everything you want in a liquid lipstick. I did apply a little bit of the Fenty lipstick as well, just to make sure I could lighten it a little bit. And I also went ahead and just lightly baked my face, so that way put a little bit of extra powder, just again to keep everything in place so that it wouldn't move. And I also feel like it gave a little bit more contour to the face, so I did like the finish. And sweep it off with a nice big fluffy brush. Now, if you're using extra powder like I did, it is crucial that you set it with a setting spray. I love this one from Pixie. I know it's not Black owned. I didn't really pay attention to it when I grabbed it. The Fenty one is also really great. I do enjoy that one, but this was what I had on hand. For lip gloss, I'm using the Pat McGrath, and this is such a beautiful shade. In all honesty, all of the Pat McGrath lip glosses are incredible. This is one of the Fetish lip glosses, and they are one of my favorite formulas of all time. Looks really great, super glossy, and I wish I had used a little bit more Pat McGrath, but I know that it can get pricey, so I wanted to make sure that I didn't use too much of it. But if you guys want, I can always make another video using other Black-owned makeup, because I had a ton and it was kind of hard to pick. This is another really great palette from Juvia's Place. It's one of the Warrior palettes, and this is a matte palette. All the shades are matte, and this particular color is a little bit of a whiter shade, and I put it in my inner corner so that it would brighten it up, and I feel like it made a world of a difference. And I like to use a big fluffy brush to make sure that I can apply it and still have control and precision of where I'm putting it, but it makes it really easy to blend out. So I highly recommend this if you feel like you need that bright-eyed, bushy-tailed look. It is so good. And I kind of went a little ham and I put a lot. And there you have it. The makeup look is all complete. Time to let my hair down and really enjoy. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you found this helpful and that you find some new products to use and that you get a chance to really support some Black-owned businesses. As always, I hope to see you in my next video, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye!